Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Pipeline Pioneers, a sales intel show where our objective, our goal, our mission is to help the community learn from the experts, from the leaders, and from the practitioners as to how to generate the most optimal pipeline for their business. As we know, pipeline is the heartblood of any organization. And we at Sales Intel believe that generating pipeline is a team sport. You can't just give it to the BDRs or AEs or the marketing departments. It truly takes a village to come together to build a pipeline that ultimately converts into revenue. Today, I'm excited to have Jacob Karp with me. Jacob, welcome to the show, buddy.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yes, same. So to kick things off, Jacob, why don't you tell the community about yourself and your business?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been in enterprise sales for the last 10 years, the last 6 of which I've been in enterprise software sales. I am currently a strategic AE at Rubrik. So my focus as an individual contributor is generating pipeline every day, weekly, monthly, quarterly, and then bringing that to close. So
that is great. So you generate your own pipeline alongside, I'm sure your marketing team and your BDR team is helping, but what percent of the pipeline, Jacob, you think that you help influence versus coming from the other parts of the organization for you?
Yeah, it's a great question. So for me, I look at my pipeline generation as 75% of it or more is done by myself directly. There's certainly influence across the organization from different players and different departments, but I really task myself with creating 3/4 of that.
That's such a good mindset, right? Imagine if every AE around the globe had the same mindset that we are going to generate 75% of our pipeline. I think the companies will hit over 100% in revenue targets. So last year was tough, right, for lots of companies. I would love to know your thoughts and your experience. You know, a lot of macroeconomic headwinds. Companies were shrinking, their budgets, there were layoffs. It was just a bad year, especially when it comes to B2B SaaS space. What was the learning and what would you like to share with our team or our community here?
Yeah, I think you make a good call out. Last year was tough. I think we're still in not the easiest of times to go generate pipeline, to have conversations with decision makers. When I look at it, I think that right now the biggest headwinds for us as sellers is actually getting the attention of the people that we're trying to get in front of, right? They're being inundated with tons of messaging across a ton of different channels. And really, it's like, how do we stick out from everyone else? The way that I think about that is always going back to having a well-articulated point of view, doing the research, having a hypothesis on how I might be able to help people. I think that it takes multiple mediums, and it's reiterating that messaging, and then also leveraging other parts of the ecosystem to bring that messaging in front of people.
That is great. It's great. Last year, did this methodology work, or you think it was harder last year?
It was harder. I think you're hitting the nail on the head. I think it was harder last year. It still continues to be. Again, because I think the volume of messaging, the volume of outreach that people are dealing with, like at this point, we have to wonder sometimes if the messaging even gets to them. And even if you do it perfectly and you say the right thing, will they take the time to read that message and respond to it, because they're getting so many? So yeah, tough last year and still tough this year for sure.
Yeah. Well, so what's this? The 2024 is here. We are all experimenting with new channels, new budgets, and new initiatives to generate the pipeline. What is one thing that you're excited about for 2024?
Yeah, I think that one thing that I'm learning a lot about, and everyone probably is saying this right now, is like, how do we leverage AI? How do we leverage automation, but not the automation of the past, right? Not things where it's just like, let me pump people into a sequence and hope that it hits. Like, how do we take intent signals? How do we take insightful data that we're getting from, different artificial intelligence, like things like that, bring all that together, automate what we can, like make things simpler for us and give us more time to craft that message so that we are hitting people with the right thing at the right time.
Makes sense. Makes sense. No, that's great. Have you found any AI tool that you're bullish about?
So this is where I have to call myself out. I'm a bit of a dinosaur still. I'm still like working through like what are the things that I think are meaningful? What are the things that I think I can leverage? I don't have a great answer for that because I'm in like full on learning phase. I think a lot of them are really, really interesting. But again, like we can inundate ourselves with different tools and capabilities, and we have to figure out what actually matters to us.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I'm in the same boat. We are, observing, looking at the market, experimenting with the few tools, but I have yet to find a commercial grade tool that helps the sellers. There's AI-based tools that helps the sellers do the job efficiently. So let's switch the gears. Jacob, as you know, a pipeline is generated through multiple avenues, through multiple channels, right? You are, probably in the top 1% of the AEs who generate 75% of their own pipeline. But companies spend their dollars, their resources in multiple channels to building those pipelines. So I'm gonna have you put a hat of demand generation person, go-to-market leader. Um, and your goal here is to do this exercise with me where you have 100 pennies, right? Your 100 pennies, and your goal is to distribute these 100 pennies across multiple channels in a way to generate the most optimal pipeline for you and your business. How would you distribute these pennies?
Oh man, I knew coming in we were going here because I've seen you do this, which is such a fun thing to do. I think for me, where I would spend 25% of my pennies, 25 pennies, would be in partnership-led growth. I think the partnership side is extremely important. What that means to different people, who knows, but let's leverage partnership. I also think that I am very high on brand-led growth,
Sure.
right? I think that that comes in from a personal branding perspective, but also from a company brand perspective.
Sure.
I would say that, gosh, this is where it starts to get tricky, right? In my business, obviously, sales-led growth is extremely important. Like this
Sure.
is
How
something
many pennies would you put on sales-led growth?
I would probably put, what did I burn through already? I would probably put 40% of my spend there.
That's correct here. So you said 25 on marketing, but because
Right.
we have the denomination of 10 pennies, I put 30. But you're able to move things around.
Okay, yeah, let's do 40 in sales. We've got 30 in partnership
Yep.
and then 20 in brand. If I have 10 left, it looks like community. Let's go with community there.
Okay. Great. I would love for you. No, I can understand you generating 75% of your pipeline, putting 40 cents. That's totally understandable. Break it down for us, 30 in partnership.
Yeah, so the partnership side of things. So in my business today, we leverage the channel heavily. Like they are very integral in our business to help us get in front of our end customer, to help us communicate our value prop.
Mhm.
So I'm very focused on how does the channel, how does the partner side of the business help us do our job at scale. I think the biggest thing that we need to think about as sellers today and sales organizations is how do we scale out what we're trying to do? So it's not just me generating pipeline, it's these other areas. So the
Partners.
partnership side, we're walking hand in hand to try to address the same problems and challenges of our customers. And we're leveraging like that same research and POV to deliver to the partner side to then go take to the end customer that they're working with that maybe I'm not today.
Love it, love it. And I couldn't agree more with you that what, if you can leverage the partner ecosystem where the synergies are established, you're force multiplying your efforts to generate the revenue. I love your focus on 40 cents on sales, 30 on partnership, 20 on brand, and 10 on the community-led growth. So now let's take a look at this chart. This is how the community leaders have decided to spend their 100 pennies. I'm going to overlay your responses on this chart. Um, when you look at this chart and compare, Jacob, you're in orange and the community is in blue, is this something that surprises you?
I mean, obviously partnership and brand stand out, right? It looks like I contributed more to that than other people. I think what I'm seeing in the market today, we just talked about the partnership side, but from a brand perspective, we find that our buyers and the people that we're trying to reach, they are researching and understanding things about us before we ever get to speak to them,
Mhm.
right? So if we can do a good job of honing in on our brand, honing in on where is our product market fit, where's our value props, how do we differentiate, why do people use us instead of the competition. I think that's for me where the brand part comes in heavily, because if you go research my company for 2 weeks before you ever reach out to me, I want you to come in with a pretty informed perspective on why you're talking to me, and then we have a meaningful conversation. And it also helps to create velocity. And if I reach out to you at the right time and you've already been doing the research, we have this like dovetail where we come together and it's like, let's have the conversation, right?
Yeah, this is great. This is awesome. Well, Jacob, thank you so much for sharing your insight. I'm sure the community is going to get a lot of values, especially the AE community, right? Is going to be inspired by your efforts, your strategy to generate 75% of the revenue through your own efforts. So thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. It was a great time.